When we realized COVID-19 would affect us in a profound way, we started seeing large crowds and empty shelves in stores around the world. Panic buying amid a crisis is not irrational. But because fear of scarcity creates actual scarcity, we unfortunately also get this.
Hey, stop! That's enough! I just want one pack.
What's especially disheartening is that these breaches of decorum are intensifying towards something inexplicable, yet undoubtedly dangerous.
According to investigators, Serco was here inside the store, including here at the meat case, coughing and spitting and yelling out, "I have the virus, now you're all going to get sick."
The teen now facing felony charges after police say he sprayed chemicals on food, clothing, and other items.
Police say 53-year-old Jennifer Walker put her tongue on more than $1,800 in merchandise at the Safeway store.
A man under arrest in Kingston was coughing and spitting on food at the grocery store before then starting a fight with store workers and shoppers.
That somebody would even think to do that it blows my mind right now, especially with what's going on. And everybody should be bonding together and be respectful of each other and try to stop the spread of this awful thing that's going on right now.
He's right. So how do we stop this? How do we inspire decency and care for each other? It's simple. Of course, watching Juzo Itami's 1985 ramen western comedy won't magically stop the panic. But what it does do is that it underscores the very things that we desperately need right now. A deeper appreciation for necessities like food and basic propriety. Compassion, determination, and encouragement to do the best we can. A social obligation to work for the common good. And a good laugh. Loosely based on the 1953 Western Shane, Tampopo's main story takes place in modern Japan. Goro and Gun are truckers, who when looking for dinner one night, meet the film's namesake, Tampopo, a single mother who inherited her late husband's noodle shop. The thing is, she's not very good at making noodles.
そうだね。まあ、真面目な味ではあるんだけど、元気がないというか、力がないというか、はっきり言ってまずいです。
Impressed with Goro's ramen expertise and honest criticism, Tampopo implores Goro to stay and teach her how to become a better chef. The movie also garnishes the main plotline with several vignettes. This one in particular is relevant to what's happening in our stores now. Although the recurring question of why people ruin food in supermarkets comes to mind, this scene does bring up other interesting questions like, why isn't the clerk yelling at her? Why is it important that she's caught red-handed? And the questions don't stop there. Take this scene for instance. A food connoisseur is teaching Gun how to properly eat a bowl of ramen.
箸の先で焼き豚を糸をしむようにつつき、おもむろにつまみ上げ、丼右上方の位置に沈ませ加減に安置するのです。そしてこれが大切なところですが、この時心の中でわびるがごとくつぶやいてほしいのです。
This is obviously facetious. But why the ritual? In this scene, a group of businessmen are ordering lunch.
ちょっと待ってね。
お飲み物いかがいたしましょうか。
そうね、今日はどういうものか朝からコルトンシャルルマーニが飲みたいような気がしてたんだけど、81年はあるかしら。
ではソムリエをお呼びいたしましょ
う。うん、そうしてちょうだい。
One of them showcases his food expertise, and the rest feel humiliated. Why? The answer? Etiquette. Catching her in the act is important, because giving someone the benefit of the doubt is easier than confrontation. Though excessive, the connoisseur asserts that there's a proper way to eat ramen, because the food and the person who labored over it deserve respect. And here, these men are embarrassed because a hierarchy of pride must be protected. In this custom, subordinates shouldn't upstage their leaders. Through Itami's lens, Japanese culture's emphasis on etiquette is a large part of its identity. I mean, it's literally discussed in the first scene of the movie.
よくさ、映画の最中にさ、ポテトチップスとかセロファンの音カシャカシャカシャカシャさせて食ってるやついるじゃない。ああいうのって俺本当に。
The film highlights the conventions of accepted behavior, and the characters do follow them, but there are a few exceptions. There are a couple of times, for instance, when Tampopo commits questionable acts. She spies on one competitor and tricks another into giving up his secret recipe.
じゃあ、圧煙かけるのサボったんじゃないの？
圧煙？ちゃんと3回かけたよ。
And in this vignette, a homeless man breaks into a kitchen so that he could feed Tampopo's son and keep him entertained. And then there's this. Yeah. The point is that Itami argues that it's okay to break some of these social rules as long as you're doing your best. Doing your best to provide for your family. Doing your best to comfort someone else. Doing your best to, I guess, show affection. In Tampopo, transgressions are justified when you're working for the greater good. But the veneration for this virtue isn't exclusive to Tampopo or even Itami's filmography. When we consider Japanese pop culture, for instance, it's everywhere. You'll hear it at sporting events.
Huh?
You'll find it in anime. Reality TV shows can't get enough of it. There's even J-pop songs cheering you on. So yes, doing your best is a big deal. It's a vital trait in assessing one's character. And because it's so important, it starts to make sense why Goro and Tampopo's supporters are helping her despite the absence of compensation. While we never get a clear answer to why Goro is invested in Tampopo's success, this scene brings us closer to one. One night, they go out for dinner, and Tampopo asks Goro why he's helping her.
ねえ、五郎さん。五郎さん、どうしてこんなに一生懸命やってくれるの？
Instead of answering her directly, Goro responds with another question.
お前はどうして一生懸命やるんだ?
Why do you work so hard? Though it's implied that he has a thing for Tampopo, Goro, along with his colleagues, are inspired by Tampopo's determination and work ethic. So much so that they're compelled to help her. But let's go back to Goro's question. Why do you work so hard? The answer here is a bit more complicated. To help with this, here's a clip from another film, the documentary Jiro Dreams of Sushi. In this clip, a sushi chef tells the story of his journey in making tamagoyaki, or egg sushi. We learn that it's taken him 10 years to work up to the point of actually being allowed to cook the eggs at this highly regarded restaurant. And after hundreds of failed attempts, he finally succeeds in reaching the standard.
でやっとできるようになった時にこれでいいっておやさんが言ってくれたんですね。その時もう嬉しくて涙が出てしまって、やっとおやさんが職人さんっていうふうに。
And there it is. The word shokunin is the answer to why Tampopo works so hard. Directly translated, it's defined as craftsperson or artisan. But shokunin is much more than that. In his book, Japanese Woodworking Tools, master woodworker Toshio Otate fills in what's lost in translation. The Japanese apprentice is taught that shokunin means not only having technical skills, but also implies an attitude and social consciousness. The shokunin has a social obligation to work his or her best for the general welfare of the people. And that's what Tampopo is doing. Tampopo is doing her best because she must fulfill her obligation as a provider, because she values the generosity offered to her by others, and because her community is deprived of quality eateries. She is fulfilling her social obligation to work her best for the general welfare of the people. You can probably see where I'm going with this. As individuals, we have many different roles and many different responsibilities. But one responsibility that we must prioritize at this moment is to do our best in keeping each other safe. And to be clear, I'm not suggesting that we overwork. What I'm saying is that we're only as safe as our most vulnerable. And though it's easy to succumb to fear or indulge in bizarre coping mechanisms with everything that's going on, it isn't difficult to see that we're also capable of so much good.
We're here today just to ensure that students do not miss out on a breakfast and lunch during these closures, waiting for students to come and take advantage of the breakfast and lunch just to ensure that the nutritional part of their well-being is being met.
At Dixie Middle School, lunch ladies loaded up sacked meals, which will feed about 500 students.
At the 6th Avenue Baptist Church today, folks from the Kickstart nonprofit made 2,500 grab-and-go meals. They'll be doing this every day during the crisis.
When we found out that all the schools were being closed, I immediately started looking for volunteers. Some of our wonderful cafeteria staff that work in several of the schools throughout the district volunteered, stepped up right away.
It's wonderful. You guys are awesome. I'm so glad that they're doing it. It's nice.
So if you want a little inspiration, or if you just want to make staying at home a little more tolerable by putting a smile on your face, watch one of the best movies about food you'll ever see.